Don't know if you saw the clips of Elon taking Bibi Netanyahu for a ride in the Cybertruck yesterday, but this one-time war hero looked petrified as he entered into the cab, driven by this notorious speedster, Elon Musk. Maybe that's how many investors feel about the Fed's speech later today. I think it'll be more or less a nothing burger, but there could be a couple of helpful hints, and I'm hoping for a little dovishness in those hints. But we'll report on that later today. The market seems to feel pretty good right now about current levels going into the Fed, decision day. All right, this is Randy Kirk. I'm going to have Larry Goldberg here about 5:30 California time, and we will discuss the Fed moves and the rest of the things that have been happening this week. I will also have a brief video. Well, it may not be that brief. You know me, I'm kind of long-winded, but we'll also have a video around 1:30 California time, right after the Fed decision. Maybe about 2 o'clock. Anyway, in that ballpark. All right. So you know what to do. I don't have to tell you every day. Do I have to tell you every day? I looked yesterday and I have a very good crowd in terms of likes. So hit like, hit subscribe, and hit notify if you want to be reminded about those 2 upcoming episodes later today. I would remind you all that I'll talk about this later. S&P Global Mobility says, listen to this now. This is really cool. For a relatively new brand, Tesla is already building world-class loyalty numbers. Winner of the S&P Global Mobility's 2022 Automotive Loyalty Awards for overall loyalty to make, most improved make loyalty, alternative powertrain loyalty to make, and ethnic market loyalty to make, Tesla has not only demonstrated strong appeal to new buyers, but a compelling ability to retain existing ones. Where do Tesla owners go when they buy their next vehicle? A whopping 59.9, let's call that 60%. A whopping 60% of all Tesla Model S large sedan owners replace their cars with another Tesla, based on the most current rolling 12-month data through June of 2023. When it comes to the compact Model 3 sedan, the number's even higher. 72.8% of people who own a Model 3 sedan go on to buy another Tesla. When a Model 3 sedan owner purchases a new vehicle, the most common choice is to acquire a Tesla Model Y crossover. Over the last 12 months, 40.3% of Tesla Model 3s that returned to market for a new vehicle switched owners, should be said of owners. I don't think I took that out. Anyway, 40% of Tesla Model 3 owners that returned to market for a new vehicle switched to a Model Y. That's according to their data. Meanwhile, 26% went for another Model 3, upgrading or changing up to the next one. All right, this is from Reuters. Janet Yellen said that the pressure is coming out of the labor market. Demand for labor is softening, which has helped to bring down core inflation. Surveys of companies showed that the difficulty in hiring workers has abated. That's absolutely true. This is across the board. There's no question that the owners of companies are having less trouble finding new employees. Job openings are down, and the quit rate of workers leaving for higher paying positions was much lower. All of these are healthy signs for the labor market to be smoothing out. Yellen said she saw a lower risk that a recent rise in oil and gasoline prices would trigger a rise in inflationary expectations because core inflation was lower. I'll talk more about that later. She said the Fed has been focused on that. We are in somewhat safer environment with low inflation, according to Yellen. So there you go. That should, hopefully the Fed folks were listening for that. Things that I will be looking for are as hints for future moves for the Fed today. This is what I'm going to be looking for. This is what I'm going to be reporting on later today. First of all, there's the dot plot. Where does the Fed expect inflation to be in out years like 2025? They don't just look at the next quarter or even the next 12 months. They're looking at 2025, and they're looking at one of the big things they want to know is what is the population's expectations about inflation going out into the future. You can look at this dot plot, and that's what we'll be looking at later today. to see what the Fed is hinting at in terms of their expectations going downstream. The second part is called the SEP, S-E-P. In this week's iteration, markets largely expect the Fed to show a sharp upgrade in its June prediction for GDP growth this year, along with reductions in its outlook for inflation and unemployment. Those are the three things in the SEP. So all three of these would be good news, a improvement in GDP growth, along with leveling off for inflation and unemployment. So sounds to me like we're going to get a great project, but we'll see. All right. Here's what you would look for maybe in some of the wording today. And this is another thing I'm going to be looking for. So here is a sentence or a paragraph from last time, and here's how they might change it. So here's how it read before. In determining the extent of additional policy firming that may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, the committee will take into account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity and inflation, and the economic and financial developments in between now and then. The next time. So the beginning of the sentence was, in determining the extent of additional policy firming. What we'd like to see possibly happen there is in determining the extent of policy firming that may be appropriate. So just taking out the word additional would be a dovish statement. There's a number of these throughout the, usually there's very small changes in the policy statement that comes out. That would be the kind of thing people will be looking for. All right, from Reuters, the Commonwealth Bank of Australia has entered into an agreement with Tesla wherein customers will be able to apply for a personal loan through the bank directly on Tesla's website, CBA said, adding that the loans will carry an interest rate of 5.49 per annum. The lender said the low interest rate will be available to customers who choose to finance purchases, including electric and hybrid vehicles. Tesla doesn't sell any hybrid vehicles that meet certain criteria and use their vehicle as security for those loans. CBA is Australia's biggest lender, and it said it's hoping to accelerate sustainable purchase by providing affordable financing. I'd like to see Tesla cutting more deals like that around the world with major banks. Okay, I did a deep dive into the oil patch over the past 2 days, taking a look at lots and lots of pundit comment, analyst comment, oil executives' comments, etc., to try to see what they think is going to happen with regard to these oil prices. I continue to believe that there is nothing to stop oil getting to $100 a barrel. There are some forces that might keep it from going much higher. For instance, there's just the general supply-demand issue. So right now, Saudis have taken off a bunch of supply because they believe the demand would be softer. Well, maybe as the price gets closer to 100 and oil gets to $6 a gallon in California, people will buy less gasoline, okay? And they'll buy less heating oil, or they'll buy less oil for other purposes, or they'll switch to natural gas where that's possible. By the way, I used to do this when I had my plastics company. The plastics that I purchased, some of the plastics I purchased could be either natural gas based or they could be oil based. And so I would switch off when one or the other became too high. Normal issues of consumers backing off is something that the Saudis are going to be looking for. And they're smart enough to know when to stop. There's also a lot of additional product coming on the market that can replace the Saudi oil. I've mentioned this before. The US, Canada, Venezuela, Syria, Iran, Iraq, etc., all have more product coming to market as we go into the off season. Okay, October, November is the lowest amount of requirements for gasoline and also for heating oil. So this is a time of the year when you would expect oil prices to come down anyway. Well, all right. So if it's true that it stops at 100, that could mean that inflation really is done, because we're really not seeing inflation. We'll talk about this in a minute, but we're not seeing inflation anywhere else except in the oil gas circumstance. It doesn't mean that other areas of business won't be harmed as oil prices go up. If you're spending, if you're making under $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year as a family, maybe under $100,000 as a family, and you're spending an extra $50 or $100 a month on gasoline, well, guess what? You're going to not spend that other $50 or $100 on something else. So it could hurt other categories of business. But I think if we stay under $100, the overall potential that we're going to see a ratcheting of price hikes throughout the economy will be less. There's also people feeling that once we get to the 100, and if it starts to flatten out in that area, then a lot of the speculators will come out of the market, and we could actually see things settle back down into the 80s again. I don't know about that. I'm not a big follower of commodities and oil prices, but from what I've seen in my 100 years of watching markets, all of those things make total sense. And again, I probably looked at about 40 articles over the last couple of days in order to come to those conclusions. I also did another deep dive. I did a deep dive about Turkey, and I admit to knowing nothing about Turkey until I did that yesterday. I did a video about this yesterday that got almost no views. I mean, really, I thought people would be very interested in finding out a new country that has been put on the list of possible places for a gigafactory. I think it's a solid potential location for a gigafactory. I'd recommend you go back and take a look at that video. I'll put up a card maybe later. I'll try to remember to put up a card. I will put a card about that later. But they have a very inexpensive but well-trained workforce. Their economy is growing. They're the 13th largest car manufacturing company. They have a pretty good sized population, and they are ideally located for export by train and by ship. So yeah, those are all good reasons for Tesla to go there. As I stated the very day that the Model 3 Highland came out, Elon Musk now has made my statement true. Okay, he's confirmed what I said. It was really easy to do the Highland revisions. There was no major structural changes. Therefore, I'm expecting to see the Highland version for the US by January at the latest, maybe sooner. Why did he make the comment? Oh, maybe because he was letting us know it's coming soon here. The China numbers yesterday had some people worried. 8,500, down from say 11, 12, 13,000. Now remember, these are sales within China. These are not total production or total overall shipments. These are just the sales within China. Well, it turns out 100% of that was due, or almost 100, virtually 100%, was due to the Model 3. There was under 500 Model 3s that were sold in China during that week. This is not surprising at all. We've seen the Highlands are all being exported out of Shanghai, and that's been true for a couple of weeks. So this might be true for another week. Maybe next week we'll start to see some Highland shipments out of China, deliveries in China. B of A Global Research said on Wednesday that it expects the S&P 500 to end 2023 nearly 7% higher than it previously forecast, and that the old economy stocks in the blue chip index could benefit as much, maybe even more, than their new age tech peers. Now, I've been talking about the potential for some of the air to come out of the tech stocks and some of that money to start moving around and going into some of these older industry stocks. B of A thinks that is going to be maybe happening toward the end of the year. They're not actually saying in this that they think the tech stocks will be weaker. They're just saying they think that some of these other ones will join the party. Also, stock, hello, I can't talk in the morning. At Stock Talk Weekly posted on X this morning that Bank of America's CFO said it is difficult to see an impending U.S. recession when credit and debit card payments are up 4% year over year. We are issuing 1 million new credit cards per quarter. We see a recession projection as further out and smaller than expected. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. There's no... Yeah, recession, 2027, maybe. Anyway, Gary Black said this morning on X, also, many folks keep saying that higher interest rates are dampening U.S. auto sales, but that just isn't true. The St. Louis Fed estimated July light vehicles SAAR at 15.7 million units. It's an 18% year-over-year growth, nearing the highest in 2 years. One could argue that it could be even higher if we had lower interest rates. True. Absolutely true. Does anybody doubt that? Why didn't Gary said, one could argue, why doesn't Gary say, clearly numbers could be higher? Anyway, but the US SAAR keeps rising given near record low unemployment and overall strength in the economy. However, he doesn't mention we are still far below normal numbers, and that is an issue, and I'm sure it's largely due to interest rates. Truflation is up again this morning, but the reason is oil and gasoline. All right. There is a slight increase in prices for food and beverages, and only for 1 week, but that's to be expected with the oil and gasoline prices going up. It is going to trickle into, in particular, food and beverages. By the way, how about this one? Neuralink is starting to advertise for human trials. That's super exciting. What I want to know in the comments below, will any of you be signing up? All right. So I've been reading all the articles about the Department of Justice probe of Elon possibly getting perks from Tesla. They make a point that this is a criminal probe. I think it is utter nonsense. Maybe the President of the United States, maybe even the head of the Justice Department, should be visiting the most American car factory and taking a ride in a Cybertruck rather than harassing a true American hero. I know, I'm a fanboy. I can't possibly imagine any reason why Tesla or Elon would be so small as to provide the richest man in the world perks at a criminal level. It's total nonsense. All right, let's take a look at the numbers right now. Okay, the numbers right now are that Tesla is up 71 cents. The Dow is up strongly, 1%. NASDAQ up 1/3%. S&P also 1/3%. Tesla slightly under those, but is down from its high so far this morning by a little bit. Been jumping around a lot. Everything's jumping around a lot. I think there's a lot of nervousness about later in the day. The Magnificent Seven is all over the place. They can't decide where they want to be. NVIDIA up 2/3 just for giggles. Sometimes I like to report that. All of the Cathie Wood stocks except for Square are actually up this morning. So I'd say overall, it looks like people are, like I said earlier, possibly okay with their positioning going into the Fed talk this afternoon. Okay, what we've got here is we have Bitcoin up barely. So I call it flat. We've got the dollar flat to slightly down. We've got gold up slightly, 1963, kind of in the middle of its recent trading range. Oil, everybody's talking about oil being down this morning. They're so excited about oil being down. No, folks, oil is at $91. Okay, Brent is at $94. Call it $94, $93.99. This is down, yes, from highs of yesterday. This is nothing to get excited about. I still say it's going to 100. We'll see. Bonds are down. This is nice, though. Down 0.036, 36 basis points. So at 4.331, still pretty dang high. Let's look at the 2-year and the 2-month. The 2-month is down barely 5.429. The 2-year is down 49 basis points, but it is still over 5%. So I would say it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens later this afternoon. So here's that card that I promised you on the video I did on Turkey. I really suggest you look. I can't know for sure, but I do think there's a decent chance this is high on Elon's list of where a gigafactory is going to go. So hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify to be reminded about the 2 videos coming up later today about the Fed decision. One, a short take right after the Fed decision, and then later on at about 5:30 California time, Larry Goldberg and I will go into lots and lots of detail. Now then, for all of you who've heard the commercial before, you can leave now. But there's new people that haven't heard me talk about my little Cybertruck refrigerator magnet and bottle opener. But lots of you have bought them, and I thank you. I thank you for supporting the channel. I thank you for supporting the entire idea that we have going here. But I also thank you because you're spreading the word. A lot of you have bought bunches of these so you can give them away to friends. I've had it up now on Amazon for 4 days, sold more units than I've ever sold of anything in the first 4 days. And I got a lot of product up on Amazon. So if you're interested, it's go to Amazon, pay $29.95. Or you can buy it directly by sending to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters, RANDYKIRK, easy to spell. Okay, so you can do it that way. You can also join Patreon and get one for free. A lot of people, I'd say about a third. It's interesting. We're doing a little market test here. I'll send it into Elon to let him know. About a third of the folks are buying the camo. And everybody, of course, gets this lovely little box with a magnetic closure, because you're going to give that. You probably are going to give at least one away as a gift. Father's Day next year, you got Christmas, you got everybody's birthdays, you got people in the office. You just throw a gift out. What the heck? $25. It's great if you've got buyers that you need to give to, because a lot of times their limit is $25. So anyway, get your Cybertruck magnet, refrigerator magnet right now. All right. I'll be seeing you later with Fed news. Can't wait. It has been great talking to you.